Thank you everyone for joining us. Yes, take videos and pictures. We have a star-studded lineup. And I'm going to start with you, Wes.
All right.
Now, there's a huge idea or angle around the creative economy. You have enjoyed a career that is global. You are a household name. But most importantly, you've built tangible ways for the creative economy to continue to grow. How important is it when it comes to particularly the creative economy, music at best, that it grows? Not in a way that is surface level entertainment, but in a significant way where we can be able to scale a job creation and scale the sustainable and durable systems for the music industry to continue to thrive.
My career spanned almost 25 years. I started DJing and producing when I was 17, 18. I'm 30 years. I'm 47 now. So I've seen a lot of changes in the music industry. I've seen the music industry sort of collapse on itself when streaming and MP3s were a thing. They were all fighting for it, and I saw them, grow with that too as people started to stream and music became more easier to access. But I've navigated it the whole time, just always pushing forward with the technology. You kind of always have to ride that wave instead of fighting it. And I think for me as a producer, as a creator, I've always been more of a conceptualist when I create music. So I'm not the greatest voice like Aloe or the greatest, guitar player, but I have big ideas. So with technology, I was always able to realize them with more accessibility. Because when I was younger, I was just a DJ learning things, but I traveled the world and I learned more about music. And I think I owe my career to really, expanding my horizons about what was going on in the world. Because, 30 years ago, there wasn't a YouTube, and we had to go to physical record shops and we had to buy music, and it was always word of mouth. So as the global economy changed, music changed and music became freer for people. Like, you had different subcultures growing because of the communication between different countries, different genres. Like South Africa is one of the most vibrant places with music because there's so much diversity. And those people, house music really exploded there because of the way the global trade happened in South Africa. So everywhere I go, I always envision the way culture moves, and that's why the music is how it is in those spaces. So I think just being aligned with the way that technology moves and always, letting the audience and the people who are, participating have more access and more accessibility is the best way to do it. So for me, as a label owner, as a creator, I think just always being inspired and pay attention to, the way that the music is always, on a wave with technology. So the job side, it's really, there's so many more opportunities now because there's different access points and different ways to create money from whether it's mechanical royalties to publishing to selling your music to, owning your own, companies where you publish different artists. So there's so many different viable lanes now. So I think just always pay attention to those.
I mean, without sounding, whatever, but I like the fact that you always keep your finger on the pulse in terms of what the music trends are around the world. And I'm glad that you spoke about, the different cultures and how music influences different people. And I think that's important because if your music travels, you might as well do that, right? You speak about South Africa and somebody who knows a great deal about the continent, its people, its policies, and the purpose. I think, Fran, for us as the audience, my question to you is, what are some of the most significant growth patterns that you have seen, not only as the chief officer right there at Cisco, but also as the board chair at Global Citizen?
I think ultimately it comes down to people. And the more that we come together in service of making sure that people are ready, you said job creation as you opened. There are so many opportunities that I think it's so important for diverse entities to come together and say, how do we solve this? Cisco has been engaged with Global Citizen now for about 8 years. And when we first got engaged, what we were so compelled by was you have all of these people that are doing their best to really solve some of the world's biggest issues. You have government, you have the private sector, and I think that's how you solve problems. What I've seen on the African continent is that there are amazing, amazing youth and talent, And what we see, even from an AI perspective, is that they're more ready. And so that's something that we need to tap into. And I think it'll create opportunity around the world.
I'm going to do a follow-up question on that. The big conversation when it comes to numbers is scale. What are your thoughts living in the world as we see it? Some people call it fractured times, but I do think when things are fractured or when we're posed with problems, there's an opportunity for solutions there. And maybe let me just throw that out there. What are some of the solutions that you feel there's an opportunity for?
So right now on the African continent, 75% of young people are planning to start their own company within the next 5 years. That's like a huge solution. And you can imagine if they have the tools and the support and the digital skills, what's possible. If you look at the population by 2050, 1/4 of all workers will be on the African continent. And I think that's just an amazing opportunity. And the last thing that I would say is the private-public partnership is so important. And we've seen how we come together for something like Move Africa, which is inspiring. It's art, it's music, but it's job creation again.
Absolutely. And I have to say that I always commend Cisco because not a lot of private sector invests in the music and arts and culture sector. And so for us, that 8 years means quite a great deal. Hello, over to you. Wes mentioned technology, and of course, the big topic on everyone's lips, on everyone's minds, is AI. But of course, with AI, the creative sector is going to be significantly, we are already affected by it. There's been great debates on how do artists protect themselves. And this is something that you've spoken about, and I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on the creative economy and where AI is today?
I think that AI in the creative economy is a tremendous tool. There will always be the individuals who know how to use the new tools, the new technologies to their advantage. And then there will be those who really don't know how to accelerate and utilize and leverage the tools. I find AI to be extremely helpful. You know, I make music, but I also do biotech, and I invest in other companies. I like to do my own research. AI helps me do the research that I want to do. It helps me strategize in what I'm going to, in the steps that I'll take to be effective and efficient in whatever next business venture I'm going to engage. And when it comes to music, I have thousands of ideas. But in order to produce those thousands of ideas, it's going to take years. With AI, I can produce those ideas in seconds and hear what I like, hear what I don't like, and then iterate, execute, and deliver. And with this, in the creative economy, what we have is this really, what I think of a virtual cycle, right? So you have the creators who are able to use AI to create more content. You have the content being consumed by the audience, the consumers, and in that, you have the business world wanting to advertise while they're consuming. So we have this virtual cycle of content, advertisers, consumers, content, advertisers, consumers. If you're smart and you're good, you're going to make money. If you're not, at the very least, you'll have fun. And that's what we're here for anyway.
Okay, if you're smart, you're gonna make some money. Wes, you're a producer, right, and a DJ. How has AI transformed the way that you make, share, monetize music?
Like Aloe said, you know, we're never going to have time to sit in the studio and record, you know, his 100 ideas. You know, it's going to take you
Thousands.
It's thousands, you know. It's a lot easier for him to say, I like this style of music, or he can write a song on acoustic guitar, run it through a few programs and make it a big band version, a reggae version, a rock version, sell those songs to, you know, if he pitches a song to another R&B singer, that's easy. But if he pitches it to like Incubus or something, he can make a version that suits them. So for him, he has access to different lanes of music that would take him like so much more time. So it saves a lot of time, and he has the creative vision to understand what is great, what isn't. So I feel like there's so many avenues that he wouldn't have been able to, speaking for you, because for me, I do it many different ways. Yeah, a lot of different access points. But, for a young producer, if you want to record a Hans Zimmer style orchestra, you can do that in 2 seconds. You don't have to, that's insane. Eventually it's great. Get an orchestra to record it, but your ideas, you can put them into place really quickly and easily. So we're going to have so many more ideas to choose from. And it's going to always come down to, a creative director or the taste, or ultimately a brand that is very strong. So I think a lot of young guys are scared of, being outsourced, but really they need to see this as a tool, like you said, because it's if you can utilize it effectively, you're saving so much more time than what we had to do for 20 years to build our brand. Like, young people can do it very quickly. So also what she was saying about, young African creators, giving them independence to create, because it's just so hard to find, that journey to becoming an artist, to have a record deal. It used to take years, to create something from scratch. You can literally go straight to a, DistroKid or a distribution service and put a song up that day. And if you have a great message, you can find the audience quickly to realize what you're doing, So there's many more opportunities for young people to use it to just get ahead, I feel like.
This is so true. I mean, back in the day, it used to take a very long time for any artist to break. But I wonder, we speak about AI, we speak about the benefits of it and the good things about it. But what are the ways that we can be able to protect IP? Because IP is also a very integral part in this. Elo, I'm going to throw that to you.
So right now there's an issue with AI where if you're producing music using AI, it's impossible to copyright, because the models have been trained on already copyrighted music and material. I think what's important is to be able to, as an artist, if you have your ideas, and this is what I do religiously, really, every idea I have, I record first before I even engage the AI models and algorithms, so that I have my original copy, and then I feed it to AI. Now, that secondary copy will engage some use of learning that the models have done on other people's IP, but the original idea is mine. And then, as Wes mentioned, it's not such that we will be eliminating actual other musicians and artists from the production process. It really is a tool just to develop the broad strokes framework, and then I take it to musicians to then play with their essence over and replace the AI. Ultimately, I think it ends up becoming two pieces of IP. One is the master recording, one is the underlying work. They both would ultimately be retained by me. So, like I said, if you're smart about it, you'll be able to make money.
And if you're not smart about it, you're having fun. I have one more question for my panelists here. And Fran, I'm going to throw it to you. It's one question for everyone. It feels like Miss Universe, doesn't it? The question is, what excites you about the future of the creative economy? What excites you about it?
There's so much, but I think the biggest thing is the access and the fact that so many will be able to create in ways that in the past they couldn't and they didn't have the resource for. I do have to tell you, I had a funny thought, which is the one thing that AI can't do is make me have a good voice.
You will be surprised. I don't know about that. Elo, you have Fran for studio time. Can we organize that?
Listen, Fran, I actually think there's probably an AI out there that can help you train your voice. I believe that I think AI is going to be able to help a lot of folks get to where they want to be from an education standpoint, from an artistic standpoint, from a health standpoint. If you're able to use it right, if you understand how to prompt and you have the endurance to engage what it's teaching you.
Yes, but the question is, what excites you about the creative economy, the future of it?
Everything. I'm excited. Look, the way that I'm using AI right now for the creative economy, the ways that I'm not going to tell you because I want to keep it stealth, but I feel like it's going to give me access to be able to iterate in in parabolic ways that I couldn't do before. Honestly, the amount of music that I want to be able to produce, AI is going to allow me to do that. It's going to allow me to get to market just as fast as anyone else can. What it comes down to, though, is the initial idea. And I think my ideas are better than AI.
Huh.
And it does add things that you would never expect. You know, that's the cool thing about it. For me, it's the unknown. When I put something in there, like Alo says, it's always great to start with an idea, just to come from nothing and just like write a prompt and everything. But if you add a guitar loop or him singing one note, that's a great root to grow a huge tree from with a record. But for me, it's just what we don't know yet, because, you know, when people were first playing punk music, it was dismissed as not being music. When people were using samplers and, you know, looping records and hip hop was born, people said that wasn't music. I think AI is in the same position where we don't know what's going to happen, but every time I plug it in, and like you said, when you have the cultural references, when you can prompt good, that sounds cheesy, like prompt well, but you really have to have a kind of a cultural history to understand where the music came from to push it forward. So it's really what we don't know yet. When I put something in there and I'm like, try something, just mix some crazy genres up, and I'm like, what the hell? I would never think of those things. And to answer Fran, I could completely make you sound like Beyonce in like 10 seconds.
Seriously.
It's so easy. I could make a whole album with you.
Challenge accepted.
10 seconds and he can create an album. Thank you so much, guys. Hello, Black, Fran Katsoudas, and Wesley Pentz, aka Diplo. Thank you so much for joining our conversation this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.